everyone, this is Brittany here with your art fail of the week, and this week I'm going to show you how to paint a hat and mitten. So firstly, here's some supplies you might want to get out. First, get some sort of towel or paper towel to dry off your brushes on, and some kind of cup of water. And then of course your paint brushes, and if you have them, it's not needed, but you may want some with that diagonal cut edge. That'll help with one of the steps. If not, you just gotta get good at doing diagonal with a regular straight edge. Then you'll need a plate or something to put a palette for your paints. And then decide what color mitten and hat you want, or mittens and hat. So I'm choosing purple. You can choose whatever color, but then you'll need a black and a white, so we can make a dark purple and a light purple, or whatever color. Like if you do green, so you can do a dark green and a light green color. And I'm gonna start by just getting my paints on my little palette. And with the white and black, you won't need very much to make the darker of the shades. So just keep that in mind. So if you don't want to waste a bunch of paint, you don't put a bunch on your plate. You can add more to your plate if you decide you need more than what you globbed down. So now that I have my paints put down, I'm gonna put a little water on my brush just to get it wettened and not stick dry. And then we'll go in with our color. In my case it's purple. We're gonna do a few different circular shapes. So first we'll do like an oval. Then from this oval we're gonna do a large circle. And we're just kind of almost a sketch version, so it doesn't have to be straight lines or like very vivid lines yet. And then on this other side, another oval for our other glove. So it's gonna be glove, hat, glove. Then we can go ahead and make our lines a little more straight and vivid and not frayed at that edge. And fill in our ovals and circle. And once you have those 3 filled in, we're gonna do smaller ovals on either side for our little thumb of our glove. And fill those in if you want to, or go back and fill those in like we did. Same thing here. Oval off the side for that thumb. And then for our wrist, we're gonna kind of want to bring it out and down a little. So from the edge of this oval, we'll kind of bring it down like that and fray it out like that because it goes on your wrist. And from our thumb, bring it out like that, almost like a C or a U out. And then we can connect these. And we'll do the same thing with that second glove. So from our thumb, bring the line down and out, and then also from here Okay, now for our hat. Actually, before I move on to our hat, because this might confuse you otherwise, I'm gonna mix, take my color, put some right there, take a little tiny bit of black, and make that a much darker purple. Then on this edge, we're going to draw a line of that darker. So we're actually pretending that where our light is shining is coming from this direction. So I'm doing this side of the glove. We're gonna pretend that's where our light is coming from. And you can kind of do more than just that line if you want to do more shadow. And you can touch it up later too if you decide you want to fix how much shadow is on your glove. And then for this glove, because we're saying the light is coming from this way, we're going to do this side of that glove. Go here. And then around the thumb right here. We're skipping this little section just because it would be poking out. So it would, the light from this way would still be hitting just a little bit of that thumb. And then actually, since I said that with the thumb on this one would have slightly a shadow right here. And then also technically you would have a shadow about right there too. Okay, you will probably have to rinse your brush unless you're going to use a different one for the next step. Okay, now so we're not super confused when we start the hat, because the hat is behind our mittens when we're looking at it. We will be basically envisioning that all this is behind these two gloves. So I'm gonna draw a line about right here. And then straighten this a little bit. And when we add the lights and shadows, this will look more like a hat than what it does right now. But we're gonna fill this whole center the rest of the way. Okay, now let's mix some of our highlights. So take your color, then in a different spot than what we mixed our black. We're just gonna put some of that there, take a very little bit of white. Then with that lighter color, we'll do the opposite side of the glove. And this is where you can kind of fix how you did your shapes if you want to. Then on the other side, just this part, and we'll meet up with our shadow. And the same on the thumbs. And then here, like we said, just a little bit on the thumb. Right there. Okay, now for the hat. So let's take our lighter color and do the very top. And if you can kind of see now, this is how you can tell that that glove is in front of the hat, just because we added that shadow, that darker color. And then you'd probably see a little bit down here on what's technically the like brim. So you like about, you can draw a line too, like about right here would be the brim. And then you can kind of flow it over the side a little, like little tiny C's almost is what I'm making with my brush stroke. And then that darker color, I'm gonna rinse my brush so I don't have the light too mixed into my paintbrush. Make some more of that darker with your black if you need to. Then I'm gonna draw a line at the bottom for that shadow. And then I'm also going to go right above where we did our lighter color and draw a line, kind of swooped across there, slightly a U, kind of like a partial smile, a smirk maybe. And then kind of pushing that up into the hat a little bit, blending it out. And then also with your darker color, you know how hats have those seams coming down from the top? About like, find the center about right there, where it has like a seam where it's like sewn or crocheted or whatever together. Just add that line. So if you like how these look without kind of like a texture on them, you can go ahead and stop and enjoy your new painting, or I'm gonna go ahead and take more steps and add more of a wool texture, a stitch texture to mine, so you can follow along with me as I do that if you'd like that with yours. So I'm actually resting my paintbrush, that paintbrush in my water for this step. I'm gonna start a new one of my diagonal cut ones. If you don't, then you can use one like this if you want to. It's just a little slightly easier to do what I want to with this one. So I'm gonna get more of my dark color and do a few more lines down. Just using slightly curvy lines down from the top, and they don't have to be perfectly measured. Some can be like darker, some can kind of fade a little bit. And then the same down on our brim, kind of doing some curved lines. Just be careful when you get close to your gloves that you're not getting it on that, otherwise you'll just have to just paint over it if that happens. That's one good thing about acrylic paint or craft paint. You just end up using more paint, that's it. So there we did a few lines on our hat. And then I'm gonna do that on my gloves as well. It's gonna be slightly different though than how we are doing them on our hat. So, because this section is the rounder section, you also have almost a seam probably right here. So we're gonna curve to that wrist part. And it's only gonna be like a little bit of a curve, not too much. And actually the thumb is actually its own disconnected part. So you can think of that differently. Like think of your oval you made. This is its own disconnected part. And then from our wrist, that's going to be technically its own section. So it's going to have its own seams and cross sections. And you can kind of mark that out for yourself too. It'll just add a little bit of a shadow. And then we'll do that on this glove. And then we're gonna go in with our light color again. And this one we're gonna use kind of sparingly. So starting with our hat, I'm gonna go across this way. Not doing full lines, just kind of the idea of something cross-hatching these. And on this, I'm gonna make my brim a little lighter. And then do the same thing, just a few lines across to get the idea. Then we'll do the same for our gloves, just keeping in mind that it's a slightly different shape. Just the idea of that crosshatch. It's just kind of like only parts of the light are hitting that fabric to make it lighter. So that's why we're not doing a full on across. Otherwise that's why it ends up kind of looking odd at the end if you're doing that full line across. because the light technically doesn't hit the entire stitching of your glove. And the same on this side, but keep in mind the light's coming, we said, from this direction, so start with coming from this direction with your ideal lines. And will kind of fade out into less as you get around the glove on this side. Okay, so I personally am going to do one more step with the black and the white, but if you like the way your gloves and hat are looking right now, then you can stop, but I'm going to continue on with some more steps. Okay, so I'm going to take my black and just find areas that would be very shadowed. So like under the hat, maybe a little in this fold of the hat. And then maybe a little shadow would be under our gloves. Right here and right here. And I'm gonna bring mine up a little, just slightly along the edge of the gloves on the actual hat. And then underneath the gloves would also be very, very shadowed. This is also where you can get those lines a little more crisp. Then also when we're looking at the thumb right here, this point would probably be a little bit darker since we're the furthest from the lighting. And then maybe this little tiny bit right here, just have a line of super shadow. And same on this side, we'd have some good shadow right here. And also kind of along here. And next we'll go in with our white. So you're going to use a lot less of this than you are your shadowy black. There are very few places that are going to be stark white because of the lighting, so we're going to pick and choose small areas. So probably the very tip of the glove up here. Then maybe the very top of the hat. You also kind of can't tell because mine is on white paper. So if you want to, you can mix a slight amount of purple back in. Or whatever color you're doing yours in, just mix a slight amount back in. And probably about right here on this glove. And you can put a little bit more on this part just because we said our light source is coming from this way. So we're pretending that it's really hitting this glove. Maybe a slight bit on this thumb. And maybe my brim about right here. Same with this wrist, maybe about right there. Just a little bit, a little touch. And that will be the end of this little paint with me how to paint. If you enjoyed painting along with me, please give this video a like, and also if it maybe helped you out to learn to paint these things. I'm always wondering what people want to learn to paint, so if you think of something that I could maybe show you how to do, let me know in the comments. And please subscribe for more art videos like this. And I'll see you in the next video.